Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, opinions, and feels on Kindred Spirits by Rowell. Now this is a short story that Rowell released as a part of World Book Day. I don't know if it's hard to get your hands on this book, but I will leave a link down below to where I got this book. I got it from the book depository, so you should be able to find it there. If not, then I will try to find another place where you can get this book. This story follows a girl by the name of Elena who is just super passionate about the Star Wars films. She was raised on the films and she just has this undying love for them. We follow Elena as she waits 4 days in line to see the next Star Wars film, The Force Awakens. She goes to the line having this expectation that it's going to be this wild and crazy Star Wars party with lots of Star Wars fans, but when she gets there she realizes that it might not be what she had imagined, and there's also only 2 other people in line. But she soon finds out that these 2 other people have that same adoration that she has for Star Wars. Now you might have heard me say Star Wars, and you might have either thought of 2 things. The first might have been, oh, this story might not interest me because it's A, about Star Wars, or B, I just am not a huge fan of Star Wars. Or the second thing might be that you're just such a die-hard fan of Star Wars. Now here's the thing, neither of those things matter. You don't have to be a massive Star Wars fan to enjoy this story, and you can be a massive Star Wars fan and still enjoy this story. It's not necessarily focused on Star Wars. Yes, they're going to see Star Wars, and yes, they are die-hard fans of Star Wars, but if you're passionate about anything, you'll find yourself relating to the story and relating to the characters. The story itself had this charming writing style that you see in all of Rowell's books, and by the end of it, you leave it feeling the way that you always feel when you leave a Rowell book. At least this is how I feel, but you just want more. You just want more from these characters. You want to follow them on their journey beyond this story. I know that this story wouldn't necessarily be able to be fleshed out into a full-length novel, but I would totally love another book with these characters. I'd love to see them beyond this story in a different situation. I kind of went into this story expecting it to be a love story, but it's not a love story at all. It kind of goes deeper than that, and I feel like it's kind of more so about bonding over something that you love, and that bond bringing people together. And I think there's also this message of like judging a book by its cover. You might see somebody and you might think they're a certain way, but they're really not that way at all until you get to know them and you know so much more about them. And that's something that I found so fascinating about this short story, is that Rowell was able to go so much deeper with these characters, and I wasn't expecting that at all because of the fact that this is a short story. I was just kind of expecting to know the characters on a surface level, but we go deeper, and it was so nice to have that connection to the characters. We learn a lot about Elena's home life, and we learn a lot about Gabe's high school life. And I feel like we don't get to know much about Troy other than the fact that he is this huge Star Wars fan, but he was there for the entertainment. He definitely added a humor aspect to the story, and I still really appreciated his character being there. So those are all my non-spoilery thoughts on Kindred Spirits by Rowell. Again, I will leave a link down below as to where you can find this short story. So if you have not read Kindred Spirits now, I'm going to be jumping into a spoilery section. If you have read Kindred Spirits, then stick around and let's talk about this book. Or rather, this short story. So we open up this story with being introduced to Elena. She's an 18-year-old diehard fan of Star Wars, and she's heading to go to this line and wait for 4 freaking days for a movie. And her mom, who just cracked me up throughout this whole story, is doing everything she can to convince her daughter to not wait in line for 4 days. My mom would probably lock me in my house just to make sure that I wouldn't go do something like this. Though I don't think that I would ever have the guts to do something like this. 4 days in line, that's a little too long for my liking. She's got her sleeping bag, she's got a backpack full of books and food. What more do you need in life, folks? I like how connected I was to Elena and the fact that she's not necessarily a full-on introvert, and she's definitely not an extrovert, in that she's kind of a mid-trovert. That's basically the story of my life, though I do consider myself more of an introvert than an extrovert, but there are times when I can definitely be outgoing, but for the most part, I keep to myself, and I like to keep to myself. I loved how passionate Elena was about Star Wars and how it was like the one constant thing in her life that was always there for her. No matter how crazy her life got, all the trials and tribulations she was going through, that was like the one thing that was always there. I was dying at the fact that her mom just kept driving by the theater and she just like kept trying to convince her to come home. Like, what are you doing, my crazy daughter? And I also love the fact that she was like creeped out by Troy and Gabe. Though the mom wasn't the only one trying to convince Elena to leave, the manager of the movie theater kept coming out and trying to get them to leave. I mean, clearly he doesn't understand the whole waiting in line thing and like getting the whole experience before before the actual movie. It kind of makes me sad that that's not really a thing that people do. Now mind you, I would never ever ever wait 4 days to see a movie. Like that's just something that I would never do. But I definitely waited a full day in line for the last 2 Harry Potter movies and for the Hunger Games. That's just like not a thing that people do anymore. I mean, I guess it's technically because they don't do midnight premieres anymore necessarily. At least where I live, they do them at like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Troy was so intense about the line. He's like a pro movie line guy. We have to save his spot, Troy said, and look out for his things as if they were our own. Code of the line. I don't know why, but I read Troy like that. Like I just read him as this like super intense, over the top character. Am I alone in this? I totally lost it when Troy was talking about like his other experiences in the line and how he told the story about how this guy had to like go to therapy and they're like, oh yeah, you go to therapy, we'll totally save your line. And then they have this guy who like was worrying about risking his job and so he like had to leave the line to go to his job and they're like, we didn't save his spot in line, heck no techno, we were all risking our jobs. Just too great. Like I can't even with Troy. You've got to sacrifice something for this. You've got to leave some blood at the altar. It made me kind of sad about Elena's father and how he had moved to Florida and how her parents had split up, and I know that like the main reason she has this connection to Star Wars is because of her father. It did make me laugh though when she was talking about how her dad like told her when she was younger that she wasn't able to watch the prequels because she was so young, and then later she found out that her dad was just lying to her because he didn't want her to watch them because he thought that they were so terrible. We've got this news reporter looking for the line. He's like, where the heck is this line? And they're like, yo, we're the Star Wars line. And he looks at Elena and he's just like, is that Shrek on your cheeks? Oh man, I lost it so hard at this point. It's freaking Yoda, you news reporter. I thought it was so funny that basically what kind of broke the wall between Gabe and Elena is the fact that Elena had to pee so bad and he had to help her figure it out. Is this the first time you peed around another human being? Around a guy? I didn't ask for this. Elena is a freaking Instagram queen. All her captions throughout the story were just on point. Like, she is Instagram goals. And that hashtag on the cupcake picture. Hashtag the Force-a-Cakins. God bless the puns. It was so nice seeing this connection form between Gabe and Elena and how they both were willing to start to kind of share things about themselves. Even if it was small things like Elena being honest about the fact that she hadn't seen the prequel films. And we also see Gabe kind of open up to her too, and he reveals that he goes to her school, which I kind of saw that coming, but it was still nice that he was able to like share the fact that like, hey, I go to your school and you always ignore me and you don't even realize I'm there. It was just really sweet and I totally ship them. So they finally get into the theater after waiting for 4 freaking days and they fall asleep. I knew they were going to fall asleep. I knew that was going to happen. I just can't get over the fact that they spent 4 days waiting outside the theater. Elena peed in a dumpster. They slept outside the theater and they slept through the movie. Just hilarity. So those are all my thoughts, opinions, and feels on Kindred Spirits by Rainbow Rowell. You guys should let me know down below what you thought of Kindred Spirits. I love this story so much and I'm so attached to these characters. I can't even get over how attached I got to these characters, and this is just such a short little story. How did that happen? Freaking Rainbow Rowell. Also, if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so click subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye! Achoo. Today I'm going to be sharing, that's what I'm going to be sharing. Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to need to slow down is what I'm going to need to do.